Are you looking to file a marriage-based green card application in 2025? Let's talk about the 3 things you need to know before you file your marriage-based green card application. I am U.S. Immigration Attorney Lilian Chukwurah, and I help my clients get green cards and citizenship for themselves and their families using the U.S. immigration law system. I have been doing this for 10 years, and I can tell you that the 3 things you need to know this year is the first one being interviews. Let's talk about the interview process because it has changed. Every single marriage-based green card application is getting an interview. This is even if you've been married for 20 years, have kids, have a lot of evidence, you're getting an interview. The interview waiver is no more. USCIS has put out guidance basically saying if it's family-based, if you're applying for a green card, you're getting an interview. So please keep that in mind as you are going through your green card application process. Note that you're going to have an interview. Do not be surprised by it. It does not mean that USCIS doesn't believe that your marriage is real. It doesn't mean anything because everyone is getting an interview. So it's really good to know that on the front end before you even file so that you're not surprised and you don't start freaking out thinking something is wrong when it's just the process, okay? The second thing that you need to know is about the timeline from when you file to when your green card application is actually approved. Before 2025, I tell people it was taking about a year to a year and a half. Well, that's no longer the case, which is actually good news for you. So the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, which is the branch that USCIS is under, is also the branch that ICE is under. And the reason that we are getting a faster interview, because guess what? The rules changed with I-130 applications, with adjustment of status applications, giving USCIS officers the directive to put people in removal proceedings if USCIS denies their case. So in order to increase the number of cases that ICE is able to put in deportation proceedings, USCIS is speeding up their interviews to meet those quotas. And this is actually good news for you because, well, your marriage is real, you meet all the requirements for adjustment of status, and you're able to prove that to the officer, so you want a faster timeline. When it comes to the new timeline, we are seeing about 6 months or less from the date you file to the date of your interview. 6 months or less. Remember I said a year to a year and a half before, now it's 6 months or less. We actually had one case where we had an interview scheduled within a month of filing. So we filed, a month later, we had an interview date, a couple months later, they now have a green card. So, like I said, this is an opportunity to get your green card faster. So, even though it seems like a faster timeline, you may be nervous about the faster timeline, but if your marriage is real, you have all your documentation, and you meet all the requirements for adjustment of status, you can go from waiting a year to a year and a half to get your green card to having your green card in less than 6 months. Let me tell you, for my clients, that is a huge benefit for them. So even though USCIS, the Department of Homeland Security, is doing it to get more people in deportation proceedings, for my clients, because we thoroughly screen our clients, we make sure that they have the documentation they need, and we prepare them for the interview, we're able to basically get them a green card within 6 months. So if you're filing for a marriage-based green card, know that the chances of you getting your interview within 6 months is really high. So you need to make sure that you are prepared for that interview and you are ready to show the officer that your marriage is real. The third thing you need to know is all about evidence. Like we talked about in the second thing, the timeline is now really quick. So you want to make sure that while you're filing your application, you are including as much evidence as possible to show the officer your relationship. That means you are not waiting till your interview to bring evidence. You are including it with the initial application. Now, you may be sitting there and saying, but I just got married. I don't have all of this evidence to give. Well, give what you do have. Okay? Remember, it may take up to 6 months for you to have that interview. That means you can have up to 6 months of evidence after getting married, after filing your application, to put together for the interview. But that initial application, you want to include as much as possible. What do you have? You may just have pictures. You may just have text messages, right? You may have taken trips together. And by trips, I don't mean like some lavish, Disney World vacation. You may have traveled to another state for a day or two, right? What can you put together as evidence of your relationship? That's what you really need to think about at the beginning so that you can include that with your application. And then make sure that you are including the required documents. So the tax returns for your affidavit of support, the birth certificate and passport for the beneficiary, right? Those required documentation, you want to make sure you include all of those, and that you are including the supporting documents of your relationship as well. And then finally, the reason that I really emphasize the evidence being included with your application is that USCIS has a new directive that they can choose to deny your application without an interview, without a notice of intent to deny, and without sending you a request for evidence. So you want to make sure that they have enough to say, okay, this application could be approved, but we have to wait for the interview to make sure everything is good before we can actually approve it. So you want to make sure you have your evidence, you're ready for your interview, and that you understand the timeline that things happen in, because that's going to determine how quickly you need to have those evidence ready to go, how much time you may have to get more evidence for your interview. I hope this has been helpful to you. These are the 3 things you need to know before filing your marriage-based green card application. If you have any questions about this or any other immigration topic, please feel free to put them in the comments. Like this video if you found it helpful. And if you are in a situation where you are thinking about filing a marriage-based green card application and you need help with that process, please feel free to reach out to me. Schedule a free 15-minute strategy session with me where we can talk about your situation, your options, and what type of evidence you may need for your specific case. If you would like to schedule that strategy session, please go to my website, lilylegal.com, click on Contact Us, and you can actually pick a date and time that works best for you for us to talk about your case.